Greetings, everybody. Greetings. This is Mad Valid Mike. This is episode 11 called P.O.O.F. I am coming in hot today. Oh my goodness. It's been a weird 10 days for me, but a lot of things to say, a lot of things to get to. We are going to keep this within the 30-minute time frame, which is what I want to do. But welcome into episode 11, P.O.O.F., which stands for Pissed Off on Friday. Pissed Off on Friday. So about 10 days ago, I was feeling good, flying high, probably happier than I've been in a while. And my parents had just come in for a visit for a week. Awesome visit. We got a lot done outside, inside. We reminisced, had some laughs, watched some movies. It was a great time. The final episode that I recorded for Mad Valid Mike was with my dad, episode 10, the one previous to this one. It was my favorite episode that I had done to this point. Now, it wasn't great, but I had just started using the microphones. I had figured them out. I thought we were funny at times. The content was okay, but it was with my dad. We had a blast. Loved it as far as, okay, I'm getting better. I'm doing things more the way I want to do them. All that good stuff. Well, 2 days later, there was like 24 views. So obviously, this is not progressing the way I wanted it to, which put me in a funk. And I've been in many funks throughout my life. And in my late 40s, I still act juvenile. I know how to get out of them. Now, the one silver lining is, back in the day, they would last for months. Don't talk to me. Don't come near me. Don't even look at me. And then it was weeks. Now it's days, but it's still late in my 40s. It should be minutes. So I got into a funk, and it's a tough place to be when your main job is having to be uppity and engage and entertain your guests. You're going to have to talk to people and coworkers alike. So I was pissed off on Friday. And then for a couple days, I was putting out obvious frustration. Dude, get over it. I was going to make my own goy for myself. Get over it. Who are you? Okay, you started a podcast. You know nothing about what's going on. You can't be mad at people for not watching. You're just obviously not doing a bunch of things correctly, which we're going to get to in a minute. But I was in a funk. I recently came out of it, kind of sat back and tried to observe what was going on, just from an independent observer, I guess, of my life, and came to a bunch of things. One of the times, I'm going to quit. No, I'm not going to quit. No, that is my, part of my brain that is into self-sabotage and refuses in the past to let me figure out if I'm going to be successful or fail. So I have this fear of failure and success at the same time. And this little shitball in my brain that tries to self-sabotage my own happiness. Well, that has finally been, pointed out. I know what it is. So I'm getting over that. I have these little daily battles. I don't think I'm completely insane, but then I was thinking, I got to get back into therapy. Well, I've been in therapy a bunch of times. What's the best therapy I've had for my lifetime? I'll tell you right now, this. I love this. Now, granted, it is based and fueled on the hope that someday this endeavor will pay for some of my bills or all of my bills, or maybe even more, and allow me to do things financially that waiting on tables could never allow me. So that's the goal, hopefully. But get over yourself. You're not changed. What I was going to do tonight was the same old shit, and I'm not going to do the same old shit. We're going to go into that in just a second. But insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Not going to get into that. First 10 episodes, I look back, content was okay, I guess. How many times have people gone over 80s sitcoms or 90s bands? Millions. I have my own kind of humor, that's fine and all good, but the content was lacking. I need a more direct approach. Anyway, today I am over it. I was a juvenile once again. I blocked some people. I erased their numbers. This is 10 days ago. I'm late 40s. I'm still doing that shit. And a couple of those people are people some of my favorite people that I've met in Indiana. So I apologize. I wouldn't give me your number again. I wouldn't blame you for that. But I do apologize. I'm not a violent person. I'm never going to be homicidal. I'm never going to be suicidal. I just shut down. And that's not exactly great either. So I need to get over that in minutes, not days, not weeks, not months, not years. And we're getting closer to that, so that is awesome. Two segments today in P.O.O.F. Segment 1 is Change is Good. Segment 2 is Leaning In. Let's get right into it. Change is good. First of all, P.O.O.F., like I said, pissed off on Friday, or it stood for putting out obvious, frustration. And in my job, the company that I work for, rightfully so, is one of their pillars is attitude. And they are a very successful company, awesome people. One of their pillars is attitude. I can't act like that, just in life in general, and certainly not where I work, where they have built such a great thing on attitude, faith, a bunch of other things, but one of their pillars is attitude. So, number one, I have outplayed the acronyms. I love acronyms. I always liked acronyms. Don't know why. I have outplayed them. I am doing away with acronyms for a while. A couple people I talked to, a buddy of mine, Jim, my dad, Jim, I've been begging people at work to tell me bad things, good things, anything about what I can do, what I cannot do. One of the guys is like, your acronyms are stupid. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to figure out your stupid little acronyms. So get rid of them for at least a while. So acronyms are gone. So just like the name of this episode is P.O.O.F., P.O.O.F., acronyms are gone. So that's a small change, but that's number one. Marketing is a big deal. There are like 5 different industries that I'm trying to tackle that I know nothing about, from marketing to internet marketing to social media marketing to speech to audio to video to everything. I mean, it's everything. It's business, it's advertising, marketing, all that stuff. I don't know anything about any of it. I'm trying to learn as fast as I can, while at the same time kind of churning out episodes that are entertaining. The whole point of this is entertainment. I need to be entertaining. I'm obviously not doing that, so changes are going to be made. I need to get on TikTok. Fuck China. I don't give a fuck about China anymore. I'm getting on TikTok. There's a lot of more millions of people there. Going to start engaging some of my guests more regularly that seem to be into me, my regulars that want to hear about the podcast. People are asking about it all the time. Start tagging people on Facebook, add TikTok. I'm going to add Apple Podcasts as well. Got to be more engaging. I got to tag. I don't even know what tagging people means. I'm going to figure that out. Trying to get some people with thousands of followers involved. None of that means anything if the content isn't good. So I think I have a humor that works. 30 years of restaurants all over the country. Tons of people that ask to be in my section that love not everybody does, but love my sarcasm, my dark humor, my dryness, all that stuff. I don't believe they've been fake laughing for 30 years and then asking for me time and time again. So I think I have something, but it all means nothing if you don't have the good content. 30 minutes. I'm going to keep these to 30 minutes. From what I've been hearing and reading, it's a good wheelhouse to be in, anywhere from 28 to 32 minutes. Long enough where you can be really entertaining, but not so long where people, phase out. Another thing, I've never listened to podcasts in my life. Never. I have no desire. None. Yet, here I am being pissed that people aren't listening to my podcast. Anyone that knows me knows that hypocrisy is one of my main pet peeves, the main things that I do not want to be hypocritical. If I'm being hypocritical, please call me out on it. And if I believe you, I'll change. But I despise hypocrisy. There are differing levels. Like our government is staggeringly hypocritical. We're all human. We're all hypocritical. Do as I say, not as I do at times. But I need to get listening to podcasts, not only for education, but for entertainment. I need to find podcasts that entertain me. And why do they entertain me? I need to educate myself on how they're doing things, video, audio, topics, structure, all that good stuff. I think I'm going to continue going with the co-hosts. Me alone, more people that have engaged with me about this have said they like how I bounce off and the hosts I have bounce off me, off each other. And it's a more entertaining format. So I will probably, most of my upcoming podcasts will probably have co-hosts. Equipment, I can still get better microphones for sure. I've figured out a little bit of this stuff. We can put in a cheer for, better microphone. Oh, finally, he's on to equipment. Good for you. It's kind of an important part of a podcast is audio, don't you think? Yeah, it kind of is. So equipment is a big thing. Content is huge. I look back now at my first few episodes. The content, there were some funny things in there. There was some topical humor there. I thought my dad was awesome. The few things that we talked about, although the topics were talked about millions of times already. I am going to include guitar at some point soon here. I am starting to play again. I'm buying a new electrical acoustic. It's not going to be a music podcast, but at some point I will put in some original songs and get some better recording stuff to do, maybe at the end of an episode or something, and get your take. Maybe it'll be entertaining because it's so bad. I don't know. Maybe one of my original songs would even hit. I'm kind of inspired a bit for that guitar music thing by a couple of old high school friends, Jeff and Riz, and they've been playing again, I believe in Chicago bars. And not all I need is Carl, and they have the original Trace, which I think they were a band back when we all kind of lived together. There was a girl involved too, but from conversations I can remember back then, I don't think she would be involved in the reboot of Trace. But so they've inspired me a little bit. I need better content. I also need to kind of curtail and be more specific. I'm all over the place, which at times is okay, but nobody knows what's coming. Nobody, what's Mike going to say today? That's not going to do it. It's not going to make you laugh or applaud for me. It's not going to make you laugh for me. It's going to slap you in the face like, dude, you're doing the same things and you're losing viewers. So we are going to do more streamlined content, which brings me to Goy. Goy is something it's not a slur for a non-Jewish person from a Jewish, nothing to do with that. Goy is just an acronym, which I'm getting away with, but get over yourself. Some people seem to like that. I've been really letting celebrities have it. I was even going to have a Goy for myself on this episode, like get over yourself. Like who the fuck? You're a nobody. What were your expectations? You know about 2% of what you need to do to be successful. Even if you were wildly funny and entertaining every single week for 11 weeks, you're not marketing correctly. You're not using the proper equipment. You're not getting in front of anybody. You're not, networking. You're not engaging your guests. You're not tagging people. So I am going to go into Goy here. So segment 2, leaning in. I'm going to lean into Goy a little bit. I don't know. In real time, I was talking with one of my buddies today. If I want to make this show completely the Get Over Yourself podcast, Mad Valid Mike podcast, but Get It Over Yourself, or even call it Leaning In. This is somewhat of a take, my Get Over Yourself and ripping on celebrities and what they do. Somewhat of a take of the Hollywood Minute by David Spade in the early 90s. He would do a segment on Saturday Night Live Weekend Update where he would rip into celebrities every which way he could. I read a bunch of it today. It was a lot of physical, like making fun of their physically, if they were fat or if they weren't funny or if they were failing and all that stuff. My Get Over Yourself and ripping on celebrities is more about their actions, not necessarily what they look like or any of those things. And I've been told to lean into it. So I'm going to lean into it. Leaning in with Get Over Yourself is an event that happened recently that has me befuddled a little bit. It's the greatest roast of all time, the Tom Brady roast. I don't know if any of you have seen it. I do not have Netflix. So yes, I'm going to talk about 15 minutes on it right now. I have not seen it, but I have seen a bunch of the transcripts of the actual material. I read the entire list of jokes that Tom Brady had at the end. A bunch of comics that were on the dais have been on podcasts and they've been on radio shows and discussed a bunch of things. And so I'm taking some from the clips there. I've read a bunch of the jokes, the highlights and lowlights of the show. I love the Comedy Central roast. I do. I have loved them from day one. On my episode 1, at one point I said, we all need to just be a little less sensitive and be able to laugh at ourselves and laugh at each other. To what extent, I might go into that here in a minute, but don't be so sensitive. I loved the last 10 Comedy Central roasts because it seemed like nothing was off the table. Now, nobody's going to joke about 9/11 3 weeks after it happened, as they shouldn't. I don't know what that timetable is. You'll hear comics from time to time say too soon if a crowd kind of moans or doesn't take a joke the right way. So you'll hear too soon. These are things that maybe there's a set time frame, maybe there isn't. Opinions. If you're going to see a comedian, more than ever, you can find out through research on your own what material he's usually going to do. You can talk to other people that have been to his shows if you're trying to stay away from things. But the Tom Brady roast was, I wish I had Netflix and I can't wait to see it. All the jokes I saw were pretty good. There was a lot of things that were mentioned. First thing I want to mention is Tom Brady, get over yourself a little bit. Now, I love the roast. I love the fact that the roast continue on Comedy Central, that they do kind of go hard at some of these jokes, even if they are too soon. But Jeff Ross, the roast master general, I believe, was the host. And one of his first jokes was about Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. And Tom Brady got up from his chair and went over to Jeff Ross and said, no more of that shit. Basically cutting off any jokes about Robert Kraft. Now, I think it was discussed before the show that the two things that were off limits were Tom Brady's kids, which understandable, they're both under 18, and Robert Kraft, for some reason, was taken. I mean, Tom Brady wants to be an NFL owner. He's now going to be calling NFL games, so you don't want to go too hard or lean in too far into one of the most known owners of the NFL. That could be one of the reasons. But he physically got up and yelled at Jeff Ross, seriously, no more of that shit. However, at the end of the show, when he's doing his jokes, he went after OJ, who killed 2 people. Well, he was found not guilty, but I think probably killed 2 people. He went after Aaron Hernandez, a guy that probably did kill 2 people and possibly killed himself in jail, like suicide. Like, he went after those guys and a bunch of other things. But Robert Kraft is off the table? He got a rub and tug. Who hasn't gotten a rub and tug? I lived in Vegas for 5 years. I may or may not, my lawyers say not to talk about it. So I may or may not have indulged in a happy ending once a month for 5 years. That may or may not have happened in Las Vegas. I may or may not have an episode down the road where I go into intricate detail about some of the more interesting sessions that I absorb, which might or might not have actually taken place. But he got a happy ending to himself. This is Robert Kraft. He's 82 years old. He's turning 83 soon. If anything, I applaud you. Robert Kraft. I am happy as shit that there are 82-year-old men out there that still want to get that stuff done. I know it's illegal, so I'm not, encouraging people to do illegal stuff, but that was untouchable. But then all the jokes about your wife, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure part of your divorce settlement was that neither one of you could disparage the other publicly, since you're such huge public figures. I think that, so you didn't clear anything through Giselle, who was upset and probably should be, but you didn't clear that through her. Um, I I go back and forth as to whether I think everything should be off limits or not, or if anything should be off limits. Freedom of speech, yes, too soon, and I sometimes wonder about OJ's the Goldman's family and the Simpsons family. Do they purposely avoid all stand-up shows? Do they avoid any pop culture that could reference OJ and re-trigger them? I don't know how that works. It's a very specific situation, but there are jokes done about Dahmer all the time. He had tons of victims. So I don't know how any of that works. And I'm kind of on the fence, to be honest, but I do like the fact that you should be able to, I don't want to be the person that is behind, well, Mr. Goldman, you need to move on. Like, how could you ever move on from your son being killed and then people joking about it left and right? How could you ever move on from that? So it's befuddling. But the Robin Tug thing, like, that's great. That's great material. He's in Florida. He's 82 years old. He goes to get a massage and demands a happy ending. And he gets charged and all that. And I don't know if the NFL fined him or suspended. Who cares? Like, he broke the law. Okay, but time heals all, I guess. But I would love to have a conversation with somebody that, like Mr. Goldman. Like, and just ask him, do you purposely avoid all that stuff? Like, how does that work for you? Everyone grieves in different ways. Are you triggered by certain things? But yeah, so Tom Brady, as much as I love the fact that you did the roast and there was some great material that came out of it, it entertained thousands of, not millions of people, which is what I'm trying to do here. But get over yourself. You're going to defend Robert Kraft? He's off the table, but your wife isn't? You're not going to let her know? Bridget Moynihan, there were some jokes about her. I was surprised to say that Bridget Moynihan had made it kind of big before she even met Brady. So it's not like Bridget Moynihan, whatever her name is, has it coming because she made her success off Tom Brady. I think her big break came in 2000. I believe she was in the movie Coyote Ugly, and she's been in tons of movies since then, good ones, and she's been on TV. I think she was on Sex and the City, and she's on Blue Bloods, I think. So so they dated from, I think, 2004 to 2006, but I heard that she was upset, as maybe you couldn't just call them and be like, I'm doing a roast. You have to be on stage, don't you? Tom Brady, probably number one on my list of men I'm most jealous of, Tom Brady. You can't every week or two I hear about you possibly coming back to play. I think you're 45 years old. And you don't dispel the rumors. Why would you? Because you love the attention. How much money do you need? And you do the roast, great. We all had a great time, entertaining, but you just can't avoid the stage, can you? You just can't avoid the stage. Your set list was pretty good. There were some really good jokes in there that just as I was reading, I'm like, oh, this must have been so funny live. But, so yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. We're only 24 minutes in, and I'm kind of out of things to say because I'm trying to keep it. I think I'm going to do a little bit more riffing. For sure, more riffing. I'm going to do a separate podcast with my dad in the fall for Florida Gator football. I'm going to do that. There's a ton of people out there that have multiple podcasts. Now, most of them usually have a successful one first, which this is not very close to being successful. But I'm wearing bright green today because all systems are go. I am once again fully invested. The 2% I know that I've been going 100% at, does that make any sense, is soon going to be 30% of what I need to know. And I'm going to be going 100% at that. And I will continue learning more and more about audio, visual, content. I'm going to watch a bunch of podcasts, see what works, see what doesn't, see what entertains me, see what doesn't. I'm pretty sure my audience is going to be for the Mad Valid Mike podcast, Generation X, which is my generation, my parents' generation, the baby boomers, maybe some millennials below me. I don't want to shut out anybody. I would love for the younger generations to be a part of it. My nephew, who is graduating high school, congratulations, texted me last night with a bunch of tips, which I love. Bring everything. Tell me anything. I want to do this. I love doing this. I do. It needs to be more entertaining. I need to make you all laugh. There's 1,000 ways to do that. I will be singing the song Mr. Ed. For any of you in college, there was a time when I would play guitar and sing completely off key, not playing guitar all that well, but good enough to play the open chords, G, C, D, G, C, D, D, C, G. And I would write songs that were complete Weird Al Yankovic / Adam Sandler type songs. Mr. Ed is one of those songs. I will be playing that live sooner or later, for sure. Is this going to still be a service industry podcast? SIP, if you, no more acronyms. A service industry podcast where I have a bunch of co-hosts on from other restaurants and we talk about their stories and what pisses us off, all of that. I definitely want to do that. I have one set up, Turnabout is Fair Play, where one of my regulars from my current restaurant named Nick wants to do it. Now I'm a little bit scared because Nick, oh boy, he's going to come in hot. I think it's going to be an awesome episode. And all of his group in my regulars, his 50 or 100 people, are all going to give him examples of things that I do, things that other servers do with other places they go that bother them to the heavens. So that's going to be awesome. I will do that, but I want to lean into Goy. I think it's good, ripping on celebrities. And not so much how they look or any of that, but just some of their actions. Like some of these people are so removed from reality. Good for you. You hit a little ball with a stick really, really well, and you've made millions of dollars doing it, and you knew that you could make millions of dollars doing it, so you worked your ass off and all that. The final thing I will say is I think, and I'm begging and praying and hoping that I do have it. Maybe not it, where like I'm a Dave Chappelle and I can make millions of people laugh, or Jim Gaffigan, or John Oliver, or Jon Stewart, or Jimmy Kimmel, or Jimmy Fallon. It doesn't have to be that. But my goodness, I would be through the roof if I even made a couple $100 a month from sponsors doing something like this. The goal is much higher than that, but just because you work really, really hard and smart at something, I'll get better for sure, but do you have it? There was, final story, I knew a guy in Vegas that I worked with at that steakhouse, and he was working a lot, 5-6 days a week, and he's like, I really wish I could get more time off so I could play a lot more poker, get better, and be like my roommate and just do that full time. And I found it weird because there's a ton of jobs out there, podcasting, entertainment being one of them, where you can, like this guy, I told him, you can play poker 10 hours a day for 5 years. That doesn't mean that you're ever going to be pro level, ever. You'll get better, probably, but it doesn't mean you're going to be pro level. Some people have it, some people don't. I hope that I have it. I have been holding back, in a way, a bunch of content until I figured out audio, visual, until I get TikTok going, until I get Apple Podcasts going, until I figure out some more of this marketing stuff. It's coming. And some of the health stuff I've gone through, which was almost tragic at the time, I was writing material on it as it was happening to me, and I think it will be hilarious to go over. So I can't wait. Hopefully that happens. I'm going to continue doing this. I refuse to give up. I refuse to be incarcerated in this semi-private room. You snore. That is from a movie called Overboard. That goes out to my sister. Happy Mother's Day to you and to all the mothers out there. I love you all. I hope that you continue watching. Hang in with me. I'm going to entertain you. One way or another, I am going to entertain you for sure. I'm 100% certain. How I'm going to get there is anybody's guess. But I love you all until next time. This is Mad Valid Mike. Be good and do good.